Evolutionary Astrologer Bryan Colter here for your horoscope report for the upcoming Aquarius full moon that happens on July 23rd. And although that's the literal date of that lunation event, I'll be discussing the energy over the next couple weeks. And a lot of this is carryover from what we were experiencing the first half of July, and I talked a lot about that in the last video, because of 2021, this is one of the most heated months astrologically because the two major events of this year are very activated. Saturn-Uranus square, Pluto-Eris square, so we'll have to revisit those. But first, let's just dive into Aquarius right off the bat. So when I think of Aquarius, I commonly think of a trinity of three archetypes, and I've talked about this before. The revolutionary, the genius, and the criminal. And all three of those archetypes, although very different, seemingly, there is a strong thread of commonality connecting all three. For example, if you think of famous revolutionaries from our past, they all had a unique perspective to share with the world. That's Aquarius energy. It's the engine that drives social change. It's the genius archetype. And a lot of these revolutionaries were geniuses. Now, if they were seen to change the shape and flow of humanity in a positive light, they were labeled as geniuses. Plenty of those throughout history. Einstein comes to mind. And you don't have to look too hard in human history to see revolutionaries that were not seen in a positive light, and they were exiled or quite often made literal criminals. So Aquarius energy can really suffer from rejection, betrayal, abandonment, judgment, because Aquarius is always about resisting the coercions of culture and family. Culture and family is always trying to put pressure on us to join the tribal instinct, the herd instinct, tribal consciousness, which Aquarius hates. It's always trying to resist because it's a freedom-seeking, independent sign. And there's a lot of people on the planet right now who are feeling like an outsider or an exile and judged just for their own raw individuality of expression. And with the full moon entering into Aquarius, putting a spotlight on that sign, we're invited to, this is the evolutionary perspective, we're invited to look at ourselves and ask ourselves the question, where have I sacrificed too much of my authenticity? Where can I be more individualistic? And where in my life have I been brainwashed by culture and family? Now, we've all been influenced, brainwashed is a strong word, but we've all been influenced, some illustrate this more than others, but we all have, to a certain degree, from outside pressures, which has created, by and large, what I call our acquired personality, which is a summation of outside influence. And that's a big, big piece of our human personality in this current lifetime. And then we also have our divinity, our soul's essence, the part of us that's been evolving over lifetimes. And also karmic conditioning is part of it too, over many lives. And that's really the part of you that's the real you. So the process of individuation is seeking freedom from those outside pressures, which have created our more human current personality, which isn't really the real you, and oftentimes is learned behavior, and this is a big piece of our egoic personality. And I'll say some more about the egoic personality later. And pay close attention to where 1.5 degrees of Aquarius falls in your own personal chart, because in that area of your chart, you're asking to bring more individuality and authenticity to that area of your life. Now, the name of this video is Survival Mode. And of course, many of us have felt like we've been in survival mode the last 18 months or so, for obvious reasons. So there has been external pressures upon us, forcing a lot of us into survival mode. And the reason for that astrologically is last year we're going through the Saturn-Pluto square, and this year we're going through the Pluto-Eris square. Of course, that's made even more dramatic by the Saturn-Uranus square. So many squares, endless, and squares are hard angles. They're friction-based aspects, and they tend to be more challenging. Now, Saturn-Pluto, Pluto-Eris, they both have Pluto involved. And Pluto has a very primal survival sort of feeling to it because it brings out the extremes of all the signs, houses, and planets it interacts with. Okay, so the planet of extremes. And during big Pluto events, there tends to be external pressures that coincide with those that trigger us. It's the planet of triggering as well. And it brings out all of our woundedness to rise to the surface. So it's been emotionally charged, to be sure. But Pluto isn't the so-called god of hell, isn't making its presence felt just to be a pain in our butts. Everything has an evolutionary possibility or purpose. And although Pluto can feel very uncomfortable at times, the goal is the same. It's to transform. So it's kind of like a really nasty infection you have in your body. It's very painful. It hurts. It's ugly, but it's going through a process of healing and regeneration. It's the death and rebirth sequence, the phoenix diving into the ashes to come up reborn. And a lot of the behavioral manifestations of Pluto brings out our woundedness, so it brings out a lot of our trauma to rise to the surface to almost insanity levels so that we can become that compost bin with all the garbage in it, turning away in the hot sun, turning into fertilizer. That's the purpose of working with Pluto. Pluto, this year, interacting with Eris. Eris really brings out the dark side of competition and the high end of competition, but it's about competition. And on the darker side of Eris, which Pluto puts a magnifying glass on, is this idea of we live in a dog-eat-dog world, the survival of the fittest, so survival mode. But one of the main challenges with this is it's also bringing out a lot of fears in people. The whole world's feeling a lot of fear, and rightfully so. The problem with that, though, is it really keeps us from evolving, which is the whole purpose of Uranus right now, trying to evolve to a whole nother level. And if we're stuck in fear, which is also connected to Saturn-Uranus square, is it fear or freedom? That's the question. Meanwhile, we're in survival mode, this very primal mode. This makes me think of the work of David R. Hawkins. He passed away maybe 10 years or so ago, but he did some work on what he called the scale of consciousness or the map of consciousness, where he mapped out consciousness levels and gave them a number from 0 to 1,000. 0 would be like lifeless. 1,000 would be like the avatars, like Buddha and Jesus, etc. Okay, God would be infinity. The archangels are like 50,000, but from 1 to 1,000, that's what we can possibly achieve here as humans on Earth, as souls incarnated in these bodies. And everything above 200, so from 200 to 1,000, was more virtuous expression, what he called power. Everything sub 200, from 0 to 200, he called force, but that's a weaker response. So plus 200 is strength, sub 200 is weakness. And fear calibrates at about 100. So whenever somebody is operating at sub 200, they become weaker, they lose their power, and they're much more susceptible to outside influences and being manipulated in ways. So as let's say the average consciousness level of the planet probably has been lowering to a considerable degree because many more people are fearful, dipping below 200 down to 100, we're much more easily manipulated as we're in survival mode. The goal always, as a soul down here, is to operate at a high level of consciousness, but it's hard to stay there if you're dipping down to the sub 200 level. There's also a lot of anger right now. Okay, and righteous indignation, that calibrates at about 150 level of consciousness. There's also a lot of pride and egoism about belief systems right now, marginalizing others and feeling scorn towards others for their ideas, etc. That calibrates at 175. So we're always trying to maintain a consciousness level above 200 that stems all the thoughts, emotions, and actions that stem from more virtuous, soul-like behavior is above 200. So while we're in survival mode, it's very important to keep our conscious level high. Now, how do you do that? How do you keep your consciousness high? By working with the higher octave virtuous expressions of the archetypes that are very focalized now, like Aquarius. The freedom-seeking rebel. I am who I am. I'm not going to be your dancing monkey. If you like me, that's great. If not, that's interesting. I'm going to be comfortable in my own individuality. I'm going to resist the coercions of culture and family. And I'm invited to be myself. I'm going to do it, And I'm going to not allow myself to suffer from rejection, betrayal, abandonment, feeling like an outsider or an exile to external influences. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be brave. And I'm going to keep my consciousness high, not fearful of what other people think about who I am as a person. That's a healthy Aquarius energy. And the more that we do that, the more we can express our life light in an individualistic way and cultivate the bravery. Bravery calibrates at about 200 or just above it. Okay, the courage of freedom of expression. And that's a beautiful segue to the other planet, Mars. Mars, the war god, wherever it is in the sky, indicates where we can sharpen our will and develop our courage. Right now it's in the sign of Leo, the sign of learning vulnerability through self-expression, developing the courage to express oneself in one's belief, in one's freedom, claiming one's freedom, instead of being fearful, angry, or prideful, which, by the way, Mars in Leo is very susceptible to. Beware of the dark side. You'll lose your consciousness. Lower it. Okay? So get out of the anger, pride zone, up into the bravery, and just be yourself. Have a certain strength and comfort in being yourself. Mars, the warrior in the sign of Leo, the lion. The heart of a lion. And we also have Neptune in the mix, in its own sign, by the way of Pisces, trining that Pluto there. Trining the moon, too, rather loosely. And Neptune represents the process of our spiritual evolution. So through meditation, through prayer, connection to the divine, we understand ourselves better. We kind of get the cosmic joke of it all. We can tap into this idea of we're all one. This is more about unity consciousness instead of polarity consciousness. When people are fearful, angry, and prideful, we separate more and more and more as we see others as enemies instead of brothers and sisters. So it's very important to become the spiritual warrior right now. So meditation is very helpful. Okay? Meditating on the warrior archetype, on the rebel archetype. How can I be truer to myself and my own voice, unimpeded by the opinions of others, without getting self-righteous or dogmatic about things? Now, what is a spiritual warrior? A spiritual warrior is somebody who focuses their willpower, their sheer force and right to exist as a high evolved being and to not let their consciousness dip below 200 for very long. I mean, we all dip below 200. It's just the people who really suffer, the ones who stay down there, Imagine when you get triggered by somebody, there's a very dramatic argument or something like that. Isn't it pretty common from time to time as you get into those very stressful situations? Afterwards, you get a little bit angry about what had happens and you replay the situation in your mind. You even replay how you could have done it better. You're literally recreating that same event in your mind, the same thoughts, emotions, and actions. Okay? You're actually strengthening that dark side warrior energy of the anger. Okay? And you're wallowing in that low consciousness emotion. And we all get there when we watch certain movies or listen to certain music. Actually, most of the movies and music that's made nowadays is operating at a pretty low level of consciousness. I mean, even I watch movies nowadays and it's like I feel kind of crappy after I watch it. And it's because they're calibrating very low, So I find myself watching like a nice documentary nowadays instead of like The Joker, because Joker's like sub 100. It was well done, but that's a dark movie. Okay. But anyhow, it's always being aware of where your consciousness level is. And if you dip, assert yourself like a warrior and pivot And think to yourself, even if the worst is true, I consciously choose this instead, to come from love and light, compassion, empathy, peace, joy, all these very high consciousness emotions like plus 600. So that if you dip below 200, you immediately become aware of it and pivot and immediately raise it back up. And you rinse and repeat. Become the spiritual warrior. So while we're in survival mode, Pluto-Eris square, we also have this big Uranus-Saturn square. Saturn, restriction, Uranus, freedom. And as the controlling structures on the planet impinge upon the freedoms and human rights of people, Saturn-Uranus square, we're feeling all these external pressures. Another dark side manifestation of Saturn in Aquarius is the big tech companies using censorship to silence those who are seeking those freedoms. There's freedom-seeking gatherings all over the planet right now, but you can't find them anywhere on TV. There was just a huge one in France the other day. The revolution won't be televised because they don't want to advertise that way of thinking. They are fearful of change. The change are fearful of those who don't want change. So much fear. Rise above all those external pressures, bringing out that reptilian brain, that fear, that anger, that pride, that righteous indignation. Compassionately, we understand why, but we're trying to find something higher, trying to find that spiritual warrior so that we don't lose our power, go into weakness, and become more easily manipulated by external forces. And that's the evolutionary intention, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Now, as usual, we're going to transition into the meditation. I use a technology called binaural beats, so you want to use headphones to get the best results. Enjoy. Begin by focusing on your breath and feel the energy and oxygen come into your lungs and belly as they expand. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. You can just visualize the white energy enter your body as you inhale and spread throughout your entire body. And as you exhale, see all the stress leave your body. Inhale, see yourself grow brighter, and exhale. Now focus on the big toe of your left foot. Feel like you're in the big toe of your left foot. And then concentrate on the toe next to the big toe. And then the middle toe of your left foot. The toe to the left of that. And your little toe of your left foot. And on your next inhale, move your awareness through your left foot, the middle of your foot, into the back of your foot, and place all your awareness in your left foot. And now into the left ankle. On your next inhale, move your awareness up into the left calf. Into the left knee. And moving up from the knee into the thigh. And into the left hip. focus on your entire left leg, from the bottom of your foot all the way up to the hip. Now focus on your right big toe, and then the toe next to that, and then the middle toe, and then the toe next to that, and then the little toe of your right foot. See if you can feel the toenail of the little toe of your right foot. And the next time you inhale, move your awareness through your right foot, from the front of it all the way to the back. Now up into the right ankle, right calf, right knee, and now into the right thigh. Moving up into the right hip, and now visualize your entire right leg from the bottom of your foot up to the hip. Now place your attention on both legs at the same time. Now focus on the entire pelvic floor. And now move around to your lower back. Move to the middle of the back. And your upper back. Shoulders, and now on your chest area. Feel your skin press against your clothing as you inhale, and your upper body expands. Try to feel your heart beat. It's very subtle, but tap into the pulse of life. Now move your awareness down from the chest into your solar plexus area and your lower ribs. And now into your stomach area. And focus on the point in the very middle of your abdomen. Now move up to the right shoulder and begin to move your attention down through the right arm to the right bicep and tricep area. Now the right elbow. Right forearm. The wrist. And the right hand. Focus all your attention in your right hand to your left shoulder. Left bicep and tricep. Elbow. Forearm. Wrist. And left hand. Now move your attention up to your neck area and feel the front of your neck. And do your best to not swallow. You might have that impulse as you focus on your neck area. Try to stay completely still. And around to the back of the neck. Both ears. Move up the back of the head to the top. And try to feel your hair. Now towards the forehead. Eyebrows. Eyelashes. Eyelids. And your eyes. Try to focus on the nerves that go from the eyes into the center of your brain. Now focus on your nose. And your cheeks. Your upper lip. Your lower lip. And your chin. Now focus on your mouth. And your teeth, and finally your tongue. Feel your awareness spread now through your entire body, and feel your entire body all at once. Now focus again on the heart center and visualize a pink nebula in and around your chest. And you can focus on your spiritual heart. Not on the anatomical heart, but the spiritual heart, which is in the very center of your chest, but a little bit to the right. That is the center point of this rosy pink nebula. And each time you inhale, see this pink nebula grow as bright as you can. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. Combine this visualization with feelings of peace. Try to feel what peace feels like within you. Now feel joy. What does joy feel like? visualizing the pink nebula as you feel these high consciousness emotions. Now feel compassion. Feel empathy. Feel love. Feel happiness. Now give one more inhale and see this pink color go as brightly as you can. Move your attention up to your head area now. And visualize a white gold nebula in and around your head. And each time you inhale, see that golden color go brighter and brighter. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. This is the center of your thought body. All your thoughts quiet now. You're empowering creative thoughts, healthy intentions. And inhale again and see this golden color go brighter. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And hold this visualization for a little while. Now focus on your breath again. And as you breathe in, feel etheric vitality fill your lungs and extend throughout your body. The oxygen is contained in your lungs, but the etheric vitality spreads throughout your body. You can visualize it as a white color. And through your breathing, a light is kindled within you. With each in-breath, this interior light becomes more and more luminous. And as you exhale, you see darkness from within leaving you. The light continues to radiate, and your entire body is now glowing with white light. See the light continue to expand around you and take the shape of an egg. This snow-white egg surrounds you evenly on all sides. Breathe within the white light and see the egg grow brighter and brighter. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. You continue to breathe in this white light. You are clean, healthy, and energized. Wish good health to your physical, emotional, and thought bodies, as well as your present-day personality.